Welcome back, everybody. Good afternoon. For the next speaker, I would like to invite Mr. B. Robert Raja, the Chairman and Managing Director of Odyssey Technologies. Robert Raja spent 17 plus years in the service of Government of India. In the last decade, he was working in the Indian Revenue Services. He has led many high-profile investigations, even under intelligence wing. Welcome, sir. And I would like to call on the stage Shri Raghavendra Patil, the scientist F at CDAC Bangalore, to felicitate Mr. Robert Raja. Please, sir. Just- no, sir. He is one of the promoters of Odyssey Technologies, a public company based out of Chennai and actively engaged in the public key infrastructure related solution since 2+ decades. Sir, I now welcome you for the speech. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try my level best to keep myself and all of you awake. After such a excellent lunch, it's going to be quite a chore, keeping awake, but let me try my best. And anyway, this is supposed to be a lightning talk, so straight away let me cut to the chase. The topic is extending trust one mail at a time. So it's pretty obvious I'm going to be talking about the email. And why are we talking about email now? Email has been around for ages. If you look at it, it's probably the oldest application on the internet. It's much older than the web. Much before web browsers came, we had email one way or the other. And you can see the number of standards that have been around. I have not mentioned everything. I have taken only the more salient ones. Even then, you can see that how crowded a space it is. But that has carried its own advantages. You can see that one set of protocols which defined how mail is to be transferred from machine to machine through the internet to ultimately go from sender to the recipient. And then parallelly, we had a set of protocols which also defined how exactly the mail has to be structured. And initially, since the mail was consisting only of ASCII text, so there was a stream of RFCs on how to structure the text mails, which continues till this day, because even in the year 2013, the last of them came out. It is not like that we have abandoned the text. But along the line, we also started adding attachments, adding other kinds of files, images, music, video, whatever else to emails. So therefore, a different kind of structure was needed. That is when the MIME initiative was started, starting from RFC 1522. MIME also has grown, arms and legs, and it has become fairly exhaustive. And then at some point of time, it was also felt that you need to have security. Before that, people were writing mails and depositing it directly into the recipient's inbox. So there was no reason to worry about security. It was a close-knit community. But once we started using the internet for writing the mails, the concern of security came. Before that, even today, in the context of email, a signature means just your name, which you can attach to every mail that you do. Most mail clients allow you to set up a signature, and that is not a public key signature, that is not a cryptographic signature, it is just a name and address or whatever else you choose to put behind every mail that you send. This one, the S-MIME defined a very nice way. This was, you can see, this was in 1999, which was almost paralleling the PKI infrastructure growth. RSA had just come out with all those standards for PKI, initial standards. PKCS 7, even I think CMS had just come out. And several standards were there for both encryption and signing. All of that were incorporated into S-MIME. In fact, that RFC makes heavy reference of PKI. So an S-MIME structure was evolved where you take a MIME and then you sign and pack it off more or less as a PKCS 7 document. At that time, mails were sent only from client, mail thick client to thick client. There was no issue. But this model broke in the late 90s, I think starting with Hotmail, then Yahoo Mail, then much later Gmail, all of them brought out web-based clients. So the thick client era was more or less over. Still, till this day, a lot of us use thick clients, but then the overall usage, webmail clients have taken the predominance. I am not even talking about the mobile clients, that came much later. But once the web client came itself, it was difficult to maintain your SMIME structure across. Because now the mail was not going as a mail content as defined in the standards from the sender to the recipient. Sender was actually submitting a web form on the browser where you compose your mails, you put different fields in the web form, and that gets submitted to a web server. And the web server in the back end has got an SMTP server. That is where the formation of mail takes place. It could be a MIME structure. But since that web server will not be having your key, there is no way that you will be able to sign that mail. So therefore, the signing model itself broke once this came up. Similarly, when the mail is received also, when it is received in a web browser, this means the mail has already been unpacked at your server side, and then it has been delivered as different parts of a HTML page. It comes only as a HTML page, so there is no way that you can sign a HTML page using SMIME standard. So SMIME itself was not possible, even when just one side involved a non-thick client model. So either for composing, unless the mail is composed and sent all the way in the MIME structure, there is no way to maintain a secure structure, particularly PK-enabled secure structure on that. So therefore, SMIME is today a forgotten standard, hardly ever that it is put into use. Some old bandicoots like me still diligently use that, but the number of people to whom we can communicate with that is becoming less and less year on year. So most people say, no, why are you sending it like this? Because what actually happens is that when the person receives it in the web browser, if it is a SMIME signed mail, the entire mail goes as an attachment, saying that here is an attachment. Then how do you take it and how do you verify it? That is all the recipient's headache. And today, hardly anyone has the wherewithal to take it and verify it. So therefore, the need that was felt in the 90s and satisfied, and which worked well for 10, 12 years, has again become a need. And now there is no way that you can satisfy that. I mean, we do talk about encryption, server-to-server encryption. We have, of course, SSL. When you are submitting a mail to your mail server, you are probably submitting it through HTTPS. But what does that prove? It is still not a sender-to-recipient identity. That is not possible. What the industry has come with in the recent times is only protocols like SPF, Sender Policy Framework, or DKIM, Domain Key Imaging, but all of these things serve to control the server side, to assure security between servers, to assure that some policies have been followed. Nowhere does it identify the actual sender. Much of the problem arises because your mail servers remain unprotected and somebody manages to hack in and use your name to send it. So it is still, as long as the login is proper, your SPF is not going to say that you are not, and as long as he has used one of the IPs in your ecosystem, it is not going to say that there is anything wrong with the mail. So DKIM, SPF is going to pass. DKIM, anyway, the signature happens at the server level. So that is going to pass. Everything will be hunky-dory, except that the mail would not have been sent by you. So we don't have that. So this is the cause of most of the phishing attacks today. Phishing is going up by leaps and bounds. There is no stopping it. More recently, I think in the previous talk, you mentioned how AI also will come into play, how millions of bots will start sending mails. Now, if the spam is a few, probably Google spam filter can work. But if it comes in thousands, hundreds of thousands, no mail server today will be capable of filtering them and giving you any meaningful information about any communication that you have received. So one thing leads to the other, and eventually we have a huge ransomware problem also in our hands. Now, if you see last year's statistics, India was the third country to receive the number of most phishing attempts. Take it from me, this is the number of phishing attempts that were made on Indian citizens in India, but not by Indians. If you look at the phishing attempts originating in India, India is nowhere in the top 10. It is way below, in the 20s. But when you're talking about targets, India is the third targeted country for the phishing attacks, which means we are at risk. In fact, we are not the culprits, we are at risk. And most impersonated brands in email scams, again, you can see most of the times, then they will have to, the scammer has to take some name. Most of the time, they find it very convenient to take Microsoft's name. You can see that is head and shoulders above the other companies in being impersonated. So it is very risky to look at any mail that has come from Microsoft unless you are very sure that your system is safe. And our solution for this, I'm sure all of us receive. From the morning, I have already received 3 that do not click on suspicious links, do not do this, do not do that. But how exactly do I know what is a suspicious link? You can tell people, you can shout from the rooftop saying that suspicious links you don't click, and if you are not sure about the mail, don't click. But how am I to be sure? Is there a way? Have you given me a means of identifying which are suspicious mails and then tell me not to click on them? I mean, it is left to the recipient's discretion, and much of the time what happens is the customers get confused, the users get confused. Many times you end up deleting legitimate mails which probably could have carried some good news. In fact, I came across a few years back, many people had deleted their income tax refunds. At the time, the refund advice was coming through only mails, and they had just deleted it because the format was typically that of a spam. So it's becoming increasingly difficult. So sending messages is not the answer. So what do we do? So we thought a little hard about this. I know it's extremely hard to arrive at a very satisfactory solution for everyone, but I think that we have done the best that we can. We have brought back the model of signing the mails, sender signing the mails, and recipient verifying. And instead of going and creating a new mail client or a new mail server or any new mail system, it has always been our practice in the last 20 years in doing PK-related applications. Basically, we do zero-touch applications. Do not modify the user's experience in any manner, but just provide the functionality. So which is what we have done here also. We have provided extensions to many of the web browsers which are used for mails, as well as some of the thick clients. It's a work in progress in the sense there will always be new mail clients coming up every day. So this is a game that we'll have to keep up. It's not something that we can say that, oh, it's a done deal. All the mail clients have been covered. But most of them are covered. Today, you can have a reasonably secure experience with our mailing system, with our mail extensions. Now, the primary difference in the model is that what was the problem with S-MIME? Because S-MIME was not arriving in one piece at the other end. It was broken into pieces. As I said, when it was constructed also, it was coming from the browser in pieces as a HTML form fields, and then again constructed at the server end, and then again delivered to another server, and again taken apart. So what we have done is that we have taken every single part and signed it individually. So if you have 3 attachments to your mail body is signed, plus 3 attachments are individually signed. And all of these signatures, which are standard PKCS7 signatures, we have not gone beyond the standard. It's pure PKCS7 signatures, detached signatures, which are added as attachments to your original mail. So your original mail, if it had 3 attachments, now you will have 7 attachments. These 4 will be fairly small signatures. And at the recipient end, our extension, if it is present, it is able to put these things together and verify and tell you that these things have been verified and what is the signer's certificate, whether that certificate has been associated with this email ID, all of that. That comfort it is able to give. In case you do not have our extension, or if it is a new mail extension, nothing is lost. You will just have 4 extra attachments, which are signatures, which you can verify at your will, and if you gain the facility to do so. you can see that this is signed with a regular CA issued certificate. And our application also verifies everything, the CRL checking, all of that is taken care of in the background. So therefore, it's a fully PKI compliant verification solution. But after having done that, we still felt that there was something missing. There is a digital certificate. You can see that it has been issued to Arun Kumar. There are a few details. There is a PAN number hash. There is his postal code. It says that he is from Tamil Nadu. All that is fine. But the problem is, we have protected the sender identity with reference to government issued IDs and the message integrity. But what else do we need there? We do not have a proper attribute verification mechanism. And in today's messaging, that becomes essential. There was a time when only ARPA scientists were using email. Everybody knew everybody else personally. So a name and the server name or a name and the domain name was sufficient to identify a person thoroughly. And the recipient always knew who the sender was and what are his attributes. Today it is not that. Most of the times we are creating relationships on the web. So even if I am getting a signed mail and if it is going to just give the scanned particulars, it is digitally signed, with the CA issued certificate, so there is no question about the identity, but nevertheless, does it give me adequate information about the sender? We felt it does not. So therefore, we provided, originally, if you see the way PKI infrastructure was specified, the X509 RFCs themselves state there needs to be an attribute certificate infrastructure if PKI is to become complete. And they left it for a later RFC. And after that, every revision of X509 diligently contains that we leave it to a later RFC. So it has been left. It has not been done. So there is no attribute certificate infrastructure in place, but I think the time for that is also past. There is just no way that you can issue certificates which contain all the attributes of a person which will remain reasonably constant for the lifetime of that certificate. Because attributes keep changing all the time, they are very dynamic, and they are very contextual. Now, in this particular case, like let's say that somebody has sent you a letter saying that you've been sanctioned a loan. Now, who is the signer? Yes, we know the name, but is that name enough? Is he qualified to make the statement he is making in the mail? Does he have the authority to make this? How do I know that? So we need a way to also qualify his attributes through the system. So our solution contains a dual signature model also, not only just one signature. If you are working in an organization, as you sign the mail, your organization also, it can either co-sign or counter-sign your mails. Both these models are already provided, standard models. When you countersign, they sign the attributes of this person alone, attributes of this person and the fact that he is signing this mail. But when you are co-signing, the organization is also endorsing the content, which will be very necessary if somebody is representing the organization and probably making a proposal, making an offer. Then if the organization also signs it, it becomes doubly secure. So you can see the way that, the additional attributes can be incorporated in the signature itself. They are not incorporated in the certificate. They are incorporated in the signature. Signature contains authenticated attributes field where we allow this data to write. So therefore, this is available in the standard format itself. So you can see if it is some other person, the attributes can change. The attribute labels also can change. So we have provided a software for organizations to manage these attributes dynamically. I mean, this should come in handy everywhere, not only in just ordinary organizations, healthcare institutions, educational institutions, even in government. Even in government, when officers change, they transfer, they take additional charge, they succeed, all kinds of things happen. All of that can be reflected into the mail infrastructure itself, rather than going and reissuing his certificate. And this is guaranteed by the organization, so that helps you, that helps the receiver to, get a contextual identity for the person who sent the mail. So this is, I'm going to stop here because initially I was told that it's going to be a 10-minute talk. So I had prepared it on that basis. Now that there are 20 minutes available, but still, I will leave the time for any questions from the audience if there are.
Now I would like to call Mr. Shri Shamsuddin Khan, sir, the Assistant Controller, Office of CCA, to present the memento to the speaker.
No questions?
Yeah.
You are letting
Anyone
me
have
go
any
start
questions?
free?
Yeah. Yeah.
Please, sir. Yeah. Yes, the attachment will also get signed independently. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we have provided in the application that you can set it as a default, saying every time I send a mail, you automatically sign it. Mm. No, initially only the mail body is verified. Then it tells you the attachments are also signed. There is a verify button. If you click on that, you can verify. Yeah. Send any attachment. No, if you sign only the email and if you leave the attachment space free, then obviously you are leaving room for somebody to add something if that is possible. So it will say, the recipient extension will tell you the email body is signed, no attachments are signed. So you can take your call. Ultimately, we leave it to the user to take the call. Mm. Mm. I'm sorry, sir. Mm. Mm. Right. Right. No, but then again, we are stepping into that same SMM territory. We are trying to encompass everything into one part, which has probability of being broken, and that is precisely the problem we are trying to solve here. So we do not want to let the problem come in through the back door. Now, in addition to that, it has a few additional features as well, in the sense after you receive the mail and the attachments, each attachment can be separately saved along with the signatures as an attached signature. So this becomes a permanent record for the organization also. Downstream, we will also be providing APIs for other applications to automatically pick signed attachments from mails so that can be built into the workflow. Thank you. That's it, sir? Yeah. Thank you.
I would like to call Shri Shamsuddin Khan, sir, the Assistant Controller at Office of CCA.